It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire. Our mission is to empower. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Dr. DeAngelo. He's in the building, and he'll be talking about how to secure a multi-generational business, or multi-century business, and a financial legacy. What's going on, Doc? How you doing?
Oh, man, good to see you again. Happy to be here. The happy entrepreneur, happy to be here too.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I don't get a chance to meet many folks, and I have a chance to meet you in person, which is pretty cool. Oh, hit the wrong button. And now we are here at the show. Before we get going, people, they'll read your bio. We'll get into your background in a minute, but they might be thinking, Shay, what is a multi-century? I mean, that's what you have. I just say multi-century business. We'll get to the financial legacy part in a moment, but what is a multi-century business? It means different things to different people. What's your definition, and why is it so important these days?
Yeah, so the first thing is it is multi-century because of the people. So business, and we have a lot of industries and businesses in corporate America, and they've been here since 1800s, 1600s, 1900s. Like, these organizations have been around for some time. So what you find is people are carrying forward the vision of these companies. They aren't just, systems where we're exchanging dollars. Like, they're exchanging experiences, man. And people are showing up and keeping those businesses alive every day. And we look up 100, 200, 300 years from now, people are still around, man. That's a visionary at its best. That's innovation at its best. So there's a simple strategy to bring that to life. And I think that's something that everyone needs to know about.
I agree with you. And take a moment. You talk about a financial legacy. Let's break down the word legacy if we can. Again, I always like to be clear so the audience has your view of the world, because legacy can mean a lot of things to different people. What's your definition of legacy, and why is it so important, man?
Yeah, so legacy is the stamp and impression that you're able to leave on people through generations of time, while also protecting that influence with God's order. So you have, ministry, you have the family, you have education, you have healthcare, you have business, you have law and order, and you have recreation. So like, legacy is the ability to encompass people throughout a period of time, and it never ends. So you protect it financially also. So it's not just a money thing. It's not just an impression thing. It's not just an influence thing. It's a lifestyle. It's something you leave behind. It's a legacy. It's a belief that turns into a behavior, that turns into a lifestyle, that turns into a system, that turns into an influence. Like, that's legacy. Like, you can't really, there's no other way to put it. Like, that's how you transcend time with influence, man. You got to have a legacy.
We say the person is watching right now, before we get into the backstory, and they're like, wow, Shay, talking about a multi-century business. Quick question, from his view of the world, why are businesses struggling today to even be profitable or stay in business? Most folks go out of business. Now, I know it's a loaded question, a lot of moving parts to it, but if you had to talk to the audience, say, you know what, this is why people are really running out of business, or going out of business these days.
I think it's a few things, man. I think the number one reason is God is not involved in any of it. That's the bottom line. Anyone trying to be successful as an entrepreneur or business or anything, man, if God is not involved in it, it's going to be short lived. And like I said at the leadership experience tour, when we had a roundtable conversation, I explained that when you don't have God involved, then you don't have the heart of why you're doing what you're doing, because everything that we're sent here to do is designed to be for someone else's benefit. And a lot of people struggle with that concept because they get into the transactional phase of what business is, because they're chasing money to be able to live a free life from, what we're used to or what we grow up in. But even when you become successful, you realize none of that actually changes your reality of who you are internally, which is someone God sent to change someone else's life. So the moment you remove servitude from business, man, you can wrap it up. You might make a few $100,000, you might make a few millions, but it's going to be short lived, man. And then you got to start all over the way God intended you, to do it in the first place. Like, when you don't have God, man, it becomes transactional. When it becomes transactional, it's no longer about the people, and that's when you fail.
I like it's about the people. Folks are now leaning forward. And they're like, okay, guys making sense and hopefully some sense so you can be multi-generational, by the way. But they might be curious. They might be like, well, who is this guy, Dr. DeAngelo? Shay, slow down for a moment. Then you can speed up. So you know the question, number one, what's your backstory? So people want to know the backstory. And number two, when was that defining moment in your life where you said, you know what? One of my missions to help other folks create a financial legacy.
Yeah. So, man, that's like the backstory is really. So my mom taught credit. She taught financial literacy. She taught all of these different things, and they didn't make sense as a kid. But when you grow up in poverty, the older you get, it starts to make sense. And there's a saying going around that, we grew up, in poverty. We didn't have everything, but someone said, I don't know who started this trend, but never take advice from a person that doesn't have money or a broke person or something like that. So far from the truth, because me, like I started, like when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I had several different ideas, and then my businesses started to take off, even the partnerships. Man, I walked away from those companies, all of them, like gross, somewhere around $3.5 million, walked away from all of it. And that really the defining moment is when I got down to discovering, or when God showed me different reasons, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. And it made it easier for me to walk away from all of that stuff. So the backstory, man, I don't think it's as important as the destination, man, because the destination has to make you appreciate the journey. And what that looks like is being okay with being broke. Like I done been away from my wife. I done been away from my kids. I done no money in the bank, no nothing. Like I've hit rock bottom, going from seeing money every week, tens and twenties of thousands of dollars on a weekly basis, to not seeing nothing at all. Like it shows you who you are. And a lot of people are scared to experience that because they too ashamed of looking like they're not making it. Like that doesn't make sense. And you know what, Shay, I'm gonna tell you something. I've learned more lessons from homeless people this year than I have from people that's successful.
Wow. What's one of the, you can't leave us hanging. You can't tell us you learned lessons and we not know any of the lessons, man. I mean, so we like to know what's one or two of the lessons you learned. You just can't leave us hanging.
So one of the things I predicate myself on always is being linear with people, meaning you have to see people eye to eye at the same level. You can't think that anyone is above you or beneath you. And that's when you discover your ability to lead, if you can do that, because you got to be able to connect with people who are positioned over you and people who seem like they're positioned under you. But then you realize, rich or poor, everybody's really the same. So talking to homeless people this year, it just like reaffirmed that understanding that God gave me. Like, ain't nobody winning this race. Everybody moving at the same pace, going nowhere as fast as we possibly can. And when you connect with people who don't have anything, they continuously show you that you can find wisdom, knowledge, information anywhere. Like it's not like money doesn't make you somebody. Like being a business owner doesn't make you somebody. It's who you are inside of you, like the condition of your heart. That's what makes you who you are. And if you don't have that, you may as well not try to have a legacy or even think about one, or even don't start a business, because then you're planting bad seeds with your character into everyone else's system. And then it's crazy because they have to carry that stuff forward, not even knowing that you've given them a part of them that's not supposed to exist. So it's man, you gotta appreciate people, man. You gotta appreciate people. You gotta love
well
people.
said. Well said. And for the persons out there, it's like, okay, I want to be on the right trail. I like what he's saying. If he was reaching out to someone and saying, well, here's step 1, step 2, step 3 that you can do to get on that track so you can build a business that's multi-century and have financial freedom. Again, a very loaded question in the time he has. But if you had to say, here's step 1, step 2, or step 3 that you would recommend to someone's watching, listening right now, what would you say to that person?
I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm always going to send you to God first. I'm always going to tell you to pray about it. I'm going to tell you to kind of just take a step back and realize that you're not out of timing. Like you're not behind. You're not losing. You're just right where you need to be to figure out what God wants you to do. And all you got to do is call him. So that's the first thing. And then I'm going to say start with some ideas, because you have to look at who you are, like the way your mind works, the way everyone's minds work. The idea that God gave you to begin that journey of prosperity and to change people's lives, or should I say improve people's lives for the better, it's already inside of you. You just have to discover you. And then the third thing I'm going to tell you to do is, in that discovery phase, ask yourself, are you really, really, truly doing what God asked you to do without breaking any of his 10 commandments, which is bringing harm and separation and danger to anyone else? And then that's when you'll start to travel that journey. And then you could probably reach out to us, and then we'll help you with that. Like I'm going to set you up with myself or somebody on my team, and then we're gonna help you figure out what that looks like, man. Like, there's no reason for anybody in the world to be left behind. No reason at all.
I agree with you. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days? I mean, as you were starting talking, you started getting fired up, getting excited. And I'm curious, man, of all the things you're doing, you got a lot of things going on. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing these days?
Oh, I want to say it's connecting with people. Because like I feel as though throughout the years I've learned that I'm probably the most multicultural person that I've ever met. And it doesn't matter what race, what society, what cultural background, what country, continent, it doesn't matter where anyone's from. It's like I can sit and have conversations with people, and there's always an understanding about what everyone is experiencing in that moment in time. And it's almost like it's drawing us closer together. And it's like you can kind of see that you see beyond the veil of what we've been conditioned and programmed to see, which is the racial side of things. But the more you travel the world and do what God asks you to do, you start to realize that stuff doesn't even exist. Like it's something that we subscribe to, and it's not even real.
And I had a chance to meet you face to face, which was pretty cool. Got to watch you on stage when you shared your message. Your same way he is today, ladies, the same way he was on stage, by the way. A very giving individual. You know, we have a segment here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. You can go ahead and say those magical words if you want. Today is my January 1st. And for all of the other folks who are watching for the very first time, I want to welcome you to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Today is my January 1st. It's our personal mantra here at the show, by the way. It represents a fresh start. You don't have to wait till January 1st. It represents a do-over. It means the past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is back there, or how bright and sunny the past is, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for DeAngelo on the other side is really two parts. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, what was an example when you had a setback, if that ever happened? You mentioned a couple already. And how did you bounce back from it, man? What was that formula like?
Okay, so the first thing, when I hear today is my January 1st, man, it's like the beginning of a new 12, like a new 12 months, a new 12 everything. And when you think about it, Shay, yesterday doesn't even exist anymore. The only thing that exists is your memory of it. But there's not, that time is dead. Like that time is deceased. So, you know, that's the first thing. But to answer the other question you asked me, I think, what was it again?
What was one of the setbacks you had in this journey? But more importantly, how did you bounce back from it?
I think it was my marriage. I think that was a big setback because it led to me, my wife and kids all being separated in different places. And that's difficult to overcome because the heart of why I do what I do is all centered on God first, of course, but my family is my motive to move forward in this life. So, the thing that I did, man, a lot of prayer, man.
Well, what happened? You didn't, you don't have to tell us if you want to, but you just said the marriage and we're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
No. We're still married.
Okay. I'll relax. Okay. I'm like, oh, what happened?
No, we spent some time separated, man, and that gave me a lot of time to really, really like go through that another stage of my transformative me. You know what I mean? Like I had to really, really get along with God to see like, okay, what's wrong with me? What am I missing? Like I understand everything else that's going around, but what am I missing from the inside, man? And man, doing a lot of praying, man, a lot of fasting, a lot of reading my Bible, a lot of focusing on the company vision, and definitely, man, just worship and praise, man, giving everything back. And that kind of started walking me through the journey of realizing that I've allowed so much other stuff in my life to blind me. The past traumas and everything, like just from near-death experiences, growing up around violence and, everything else that comes with growing up in poverty, man, like seeing all of that stuff just rip off of your body, mind, and spirit all in time. It's like, man, that's the most transforming thing ever. So that was my experience, man, like having that time away from my family, then having to get alone with God, and then it put me back in a position. And man, I've been feeling amazing ever since. And everybody that I come in contact with get a chance to experience it, So it's lovely, man.
Great, man. What does success look like for you these days, and all the things you've been through? If you had to step back and define success, what does success look like for you, for where you are now?
Ooh, I think it looks like peace, man. Like when you really become one with God, like I think that's the biggest piece of success you can have, because then you start to realize that you don't value the things that you thought you did. You only value the time that you're able to spend with people you love, man, and people you care about. And those moments, man, you can't get them back. So success looks like freedom of time to be able to enjoy the people you love and doing the things that you can do to help build other people up. Like I thrive on seeing other people successful, man. And to give you a story, man, I had a client 2 years ago. I made her about $70,000 a month, and like seeing her successful from that system that we taught her and implemented into her business strategy, man, that was exhilarating. It doesn't get any better, man. When you allow yourself to be a servitude, man, that's success. Servant leadership, that is success.
A heart to give, ladies and gentlemen, and a heart to serve, which is super amazing. One of my favorite questions to ask when we have some time now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll frame it for the audience so they're kind of clear when I actually come off the mountaintop with the 10 Commandments or anything. But you've had a lot of programs you've been in, I'm sure, over the years. You read more books than you probably remember these days. And how many hours of audios and videos and YouTube videos? I mean, it gets crazy with the mentors. But if you had to step back and say, man, I've been given a lot of advice, but here's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given, and why, what would it be?
It was my mentor from way back in high school, man. His name is Dr. David L. Craig. He used to always say something to me and a few other brothers, man. Actually, some close friends. We're still kind of close. He said, education is the greatest investment you'll ever make in yourself in your life. And then he said, life is a game that you cannot win unless you're healthy. So that education piece, when I went and got that doctorate, it opened doors that I never would have imagined would lead me to a different level of success, man. And what it did to my brain to unlock a different level of wisdom, I can't explain it. And man, he was right. He was right. Probably one of the most wise men that I know in my lifetime. And he pretty much echoed the same things my mother echoed. Education is so important, man. You cannot take shortcuts in this life without being educated. Or you shouldn't take shortcuts, but education is that road to travel without a shadow of a doubt.
I love it. And, the number of folks that are listening saying, wow, he's involved in a whole lot of things, Shay. How does Dr. DeAngelo prioritize time? And I'll frame it for you. Let me frame it for you. There's a number of folks that will watch this right now. They're dualpreneurs. They work a full-time job. They're full-time entrepreneurs. Some are husbands, some are wives, some are in relationships. Some are like Shay Brown. They're a caregiver right now. Some have kids and their kids have schedules. Some are involved in their community. Like, look, Shay, I got a list of things you didn't even mention yet. But as I'm listening to him, I'm wondering, how does Dr. DeAngelo prioritize time to get things done when he got so much going on in his life? What's your secret?
Man, I cut out anything in my schedule that can't lead to my growth, man. And I definitely organize things in a way where I can control my clock. So there's structure and order. So it's just certain things I'm not going to do on Mondays, certain things I'm not going to do on Tuesdays. And any given day of the week, if I'm having a consultation or a meeting, like it has to be at a certain time of the day, or I'm not doing it, man. Because I can't be more available to the world than I am my own family. You know what I mean? So I make sure my family get that time, and the time where everyone's doing their own thing. That's the time for me to, work on clients or, mentorship programs or what have you, or any other event that I might have coming up throughout the year. But it's definitely just like controlling your clock, only put things on your clock that can lead to your growth.
I like that. Said well. As we, what do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world? When you're not out running around writing programs? When you're not out doing the stuff you're doing now? What do you do for fun these days? What does that look like for you?
Man, I go for walks. Man, I enjoy a good walk. I might do something with my kids. I still love swimming, and I'm still a boxer, so I still love boxing. And I love writing. I'm a poet, so I love being poetic. Just writing probably a story. Sometimes I'll journal or just something where I can just release things from my mind, man. But definitely, man, like my recreation, man, is family. But yeah, actually, I probably should have mentioned this first. I travel, man. I like to travel the world. Any opportunity
you can't leave us hanging. They all want to know, where did you like to travel? The world's broad for you, but what's one or two places you really enjoyed while you were traveling, man? We're just curious.
I love Europe, man, because Europe is very it's family oriented. It's not a lot going on, and you can kind of like you can just interact with people and just kind of not feel the stress of worrying about like gun violence in America and all the other stuff that's stuffed into the propaganda. Like that stuff is like they have their problems over there, but it's just a peaceful place, man. Like especially Germany, man. Oh, bro, Germany and France, those two places. Every time I go there, it's like a peaceful experience. Oh, and the Alps in Switzerland, one of the most peaceful places I've ever been in my life.
Wow. I've never been to the Alps, man, but I think I'm gonna add it to my list. You said one of the most peaceful places, and you're someone I believe has really traveled a lot of places. Why'd you say it's one of the most peaceful places? Why'd that pop top of mind to you?
So it's the vision of it's the way the mountains look. With when it's cloudy, when the sun is up, when the sun is setting, and then it sits off a large body of water like a riverfront. So it looks, man. I can send you a picture of it, but it's just peaceful. Like you're right there, just at the mountains, and you can see the mist falling from it, like the fog in the morning. And I went in the fall. The first time I went in the fall. Man, it was the most beautiful thing ever because the trees and stuff change color in October. Man, lovely.
Man, I can't wait to experience it, by the way. As we come down the home stretch, two-part question. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks connect with you? Make sure you show them how they can connect with you and stay in this conversation over and beyond the time we have now.
Okay, so the first thing you want to do if you want to connect with me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram, TikTok. Here's the company phone number. You can dial that number and call me. There's a website. So when you go on the website, if you go to the ministries tab, there's a button that says meet the founder. And then you can get on my schedule and we can have a face-to-face meeting via virtual and kind of get to know each other. Like I don't do transactional business. I always like to know who I'm working with in front of me. And then the other thing is as far as what type of clients we want to work with, we pretty much work with everyone, man. We just kind of go through that discovery phase. And here we have a coupon code, man, courtesy of Happy Entrepreneur Show. Just Shay Brown exclusive. If you use this coupon code, you can get a discount price on our cohort coming up January 1st. It's actually not going to start January 1st. It's going to start, I believe, I want to say the 3rd or the 4th. But the pilot program is going to be January 1st. But you reach out, scan this code, join the Different Reasons membership club, and we got weekly trainings, man, and monthly trainings all throughout the week in every different industry. So if you want to start a business and, healthcare or anything, like we have a roadmap and a team of people who are going to assist you along the way. And then not only that, we also give you an opportunity to make money throughout the process so that we'll be the ones that fund your ideas so that you don't feel like you're doing it for nothing. So we pretty much take anybody who wants to grow, man. We love working with everybody. Different Reasons is a globally inclusive company. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We have time for you. It doesn't matter where you are. We work with everyone.
Well, let me say two things. Number one, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So you're giving us the most precious resource you have with your time. So thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure, Shay. My pleasure.
And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. Thank you for allowing us the broadcast. We might be on your phone right now. Maybe you're listening. Maybe we're in the podcast. You're driving down the road or you're at the gym listening to us. Thanks so much. We appreciate it because without you, well, we don't have a show. So I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you really are someone special. You really are unique. This is not hyperbole. It's not just a lot of fluff. It is the truth that you're here for a reason. You're here for the purpose. And no matter what's going on in your life right now, whether you're doing really well and there's that next gear, that next level you're going to, or life's hit you with the punch you never saw coming. The one thing I know to be true is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name hasn't changed. Still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. We out. Thanks a lot, Dr. DeAngelo. Peace, everybody. We'll see y'all on the other side.